Hey everybody, welcome back to Tathaastu. Today we're going to be talking about a really fun, slightly offbeat masala movie from the Telugu industry, directed by Vivek Atreya, which is Saripodhaa Sanivaaram. The actors and the cast include Nani, Priyanka Arulmohan, and an exceptional S.J. Surya, along with one of my favorite all-time actors, Sai Kumar and Abhirami as well. So, what is this movie about? It is a very interesting concept, right? Which is that you see vigilante movies where individuals who act as vigilantes, and generally these are the heroes of these movies or the protagonists, tend to be ones who can exercise their anger at any point of time, and therefore their vigilantism isn't a controlled sense of vigilantism, and therefore their action is mostly reactionary. Whereas in this case, because of the kind of premise, which is that on Saturdays you're allowed to be angry, and that is pretty much how the entire movie pans out, because of the reasons that you would need to watch the movie for. The fact is that there is calculation behind exercising your vigilantism or exercising your anger. And that's a very unique way of looking at how the vigilante movies have been compared to what it is usually in this case, right? So it's a very interesting concept. I do think that the movie sort of becomes very obscure in terms of certain ways by which it executes this idea. But the conviction of the actors make it a very, very good watch. And therefore, I think while it isn't a really high concept movie or a very thought provoking movie or a message driven movie or anything of that sort, it is a very fun watch to understand how mass commercial movies can be made in a way where you can take the existing concepts and flip them in ways where it becomes much more unique in terms of just the way you approach these concepts, right? So, what can I say about this movie? It isn't layered to a large extent. It is pretty much the same vigilantism struggle between the oppressor and the oppressed. In this case, it is the oppressor being S.J. Surya's police character, and the oppressed being a community within sort of like area within a village, right? Within a city, right? So, what do we understand from this movie? Um, we do understand that it is a very important thing for Telugu cinema to have such great movies come out, primarily because Telugu cinema has always been known for not being very palatable to other cinema, except maybe the Rajmoulis, except maybe to some extent, let's say, the Sukumar's movies to some extent. But more often than not, Telugu cinema is seen as this mass, over the top kind of action, mass, melodramatic kind of movies, which has its own place. But I think now with folks like Nani who act in movies where there is a tinge of realism attached to how vigilantism or any of these kind of action themes are taken into account, it's a great way for other industries, especially the Malayalam and the Tamil industry and the Hindi industry, to look at Telugu cinema holistically rather than look at just a Rajmouli or a Nag Ashwin or a Sukumar or any of these big ones, right? So I think that's a very important takeaway that we need to take into account. And in terms of just the acting, Nani holds the screen so well. I mean, there's a reason why they probably call him natural star. He is so affable on screen. He is just so his conviction in terms of delivering action set pieces and at the same time being funny, and in terms of just like the emotional beats, he is so well rounded in terms of just his delivery, in terms of the performance. It's fabulous, and Nani really holds the movie quite well. But to me, and this is a problem that almost every hero faces when they are playing a role opposite S.J. Surya, because the man is madness in terms of the way he just pulls off any role. And I was watching a very interesting interview between him and Bharadwaj Rangan, which really talks about how there is an S.J. Surya style of acting, which is a, a note higher than most villains in that sense, because he is a note higher in terms of just his expressions. He's just so like like someone said, he's like he's like, what do you call, Jim Carrey sort of meets Raghuvaran kind of thing for me. He's just menacing but also really funny at the same time, right? So S.J. Surya is amazing. So is Murli Sharma. Murli Sharma is usually the funny guy in most movies. He is obviously funny, but he's also got such great rapport with the actors around that his scenes light up when it comes to just the way the story progresses. So I would say Murli Sharma was a great addition to this movie. Sai Kumar, what can I say that hasn't been said of this man? He can pull off any role so goddamn well, primarily because the fact that his voice and his dialogue delivery is so incredibly wonderful to watch. And therefore, anything he says sounds weighty, right? And he's incredible in his role as well, right? As the father who's not so who's not very brave, but one who wants to actually try and protect his son, right, and his family. The women in this movie are sort of underwritten. Priyanka, Abhirami, Aditi, Balan, all of them don't get really meaty roles. It becomes very stagnating, simpleton kind of roles. But there is some weight to Abhirami's role, which is kind of nice to see. But this is, again, a largely male-driven movie. There could have been a lot more in terms of how women could have been used in this movie, but it isn't a gripe. As such, it is something that the industry is developing, and we should not crib about representation to such a large extent by saying that representation never happens. We just have to improve it, and that's something that will always happen with time. So, Saripodhaa Sanivaaram, definitely a good watch. It is available on Netflix, and you can catch it on there. Thank you very much. Please subscribe, and we'll catch up with you on the next movie talk. Cheers. Bye bye.